Alright, we're on Oxide for this round 16 game between Wyrm and NightCrawler. So it's Terran Toss, and we've seen a couple of these now. Yeah, let's see what sort of game these guys have got. So, in the bottom left, Wyrm, our Protoss player, and in the top right, the blue Terran, NightCrawler. Yeah. So, normal openers, no sign of weird proxies or anything like that, so that is fine. Nightcrawler is going to go ahead and completely wall the top of the ramp. Don't mind it. It does mean that the early probe scout can't get in, and that can be quite nice because the probe cannot see whether you've taken one gas or two. So therefore can't see if it's going to be something funky like, for example, Cloak Banshee. If you are going to go Cloak Banshee, you've got this second gas almost straight away at about the same time as the first, because it's a gas thirsty build. Or maybe it's going to be like a rush to BC or something like that. Keeping the probe out certainly prevents that. So yeah, either way though, Wyrm comes in, has a look, decides it is safe to expo off one gateway, but he did get the side core first, so not a particularly risky expo at all. Has got a stalker out, and yeah, one of the nice things about stalkers, they're pretty rapid, you know. If you're playing as Protoss against the Terran, it's nice to get the stalker out on the map and just be busy. Just get it across the map, get it up in your opponent's face, being annoying. It outranges Marines, it outruns them. So really you shouldn't lose it in the early stages of the game. And it can just be pretty obnoxious. It can come up here and it can possibly slow down the expand timing. It can catch things on the middle of the map if there is a couple of Marines coming across in the hope of slowing down your expo. The Stalker will see it and it can outrun them. It can get home before the Marines can catch it, because we're so early game, your opponent won't have stim. So very hard for the Terran to micro effectively against that Stalker. And, you know, if they've got something quick like a Reaper, obviously a Stalker beats a Reaper pretty comfortably. So the only thing that can really kill it is if they've built like a whole raft, if it's one of those minging sort of, oh, I've built like 6 Reapers, look at me go. In which case you want to know that anyway. So yeah, that will kill the Stalker. Might kill you. This is a very fast robotics bay. So disruptors coming out. Love it. We definitely don't see enough disruptors. The disruptor is an interesting unit. It can be a bit make or break. They're quite expensive. They're tier 3, quite a lot of tech. They do massive amounts of splash damage. It's a relatively small area, the splash, but it's a huge amount of damage. So they will one-shot most things. The kind of purification nova, I think it's called, the disruption ball. It's brutal, and it can be brutal against things like siege tanks. It's great because they can't run from it. Bunches of Marine Marauder, it's great for picking off the Marauders, because Marauders are tough, hard to kill when they're supported by medevacs. Obviously disruptor balls one-shot them. The flip side of that is they have a slow reload time, and they're quite hard to micro. The range on the disruption ball isn't fantastic, and you do have to fire it and then control it. Now, controlling it doesn't honestly take much. You can fire it, grab the ball, and you can micro that around, but you don't really have to. You can launch, you can just kind of, you can V click something, and assuming it's within range, it will shoot at that object. And that is kind of enough to make the Terran work harder in their micro than you're working. It does have the downside that if you don't then shift click the disruptor away, it tends to push itself to the front of your army, where it will very quickly die, which can be a bit annoying. Like the Marine parked out the front, like that a lot, just to kind of get an idea if there's going to be any sort of move out. The Marine's going to have a go at this worker, is going to meet a bad time with the Immortal. Oh, the Immortal didn't actually get the kill. Oh well, right, this Protoss army is chunky. Let's slow things down and have a look at what's going to happen. NightCrawler has got a pretty good defensive setup here. 4 siege tanks is not pretty, but oh my god, 6 immortals? Yeah. So Wyrm can come in here. I'd love to see, yeah, the Disruption Nova is great. I'd love to see some Guardian Shields. You need to get the Immortals within range of the tanks because they will punch through them so fast. Now that the Marines are gone, Immortals just ruin tanks. But look, these ones at the back just aren't firing, so not that it mattered. I mean, to be fair, that did look one-sided, and it was, but, you know, he did have twice the army supply. And it was a pretty good tank-busting army. This many Immortals. Immortals are my go-to to beat siege tanks, because with their barrier, the barrier that they have that pops, that absorbs 100 damage, you know, they can take a serious number of tank volleys to the face and just keep walking. They just don't really care. You know, they're badass units. They've got 100 shield, 200 health. That is a lot of tank fire that these things can just walk through. And oh my, what, that was awkward. And the way they do damage as well, 3 Immortals, 1 shot a tank, I think, something like that. So 6 Immortals will very, very quickly just brutalize a tank army. Yeah, I mean, this is just weird. Send the Stalkers around here and just leave the Immortals to mop up this, is the way I would deal with that. But yeah, you do want to send the Stalkers after this so that your opponent can't be weird and fly about the place. Like, look, you're not going to win. Just GG. You know, your opponent is up to 4 bases, and you are flying 1 command center about. It's over. Give it up. GG.